Welcome everyone to today's ALASCA Tech Talk. My name is Ariane. I am the community manager of ALASCA. And just to give you a little bit of context, in case you are not familiar with this format, the ALASCA Tech Talks are hosted by ALASCA. ALASCA is a non-profit association based in Dresden, and our mission is to contribute to the overall vision of strengthening digital sovereignty in Germany and Europe. And for this, on the one hand, we are developing open source technologies that facilitate building and running your own cloud infrastructures. And we are also talking about it and raising awareness and educating. And so the ALASCA Tech Talks is one way that we do this. So we are here to discuss all things really tech related. And so, yes, welcome to ALASCA Tech Talk number 24. Please note that this session will be recorded as always. I think you got the alert when you entered. We will upload this to YouTube later on, so you can rewatch it or share it. Right. Now for the let me see, did it work? Yes, for the agenda today, we will hop into today's Tech Talk in a second. Then we will head over to some news and events that are upcoming, and then we will have a brief look, at least on the date of the next Tech Talk, because topic-wise, we are still in the works. But yeah, it will come for sure. All right, so for today, I'd like to welcome Michelle Fuchs. Nice to have you here. I will give a brief introduction before I give the stage over to you, Michelle. So Michelle is a studied software developer with a passion for high quality code. And she describes herself as an idealist aiming to make the world a better place through empowerment and also digital self-sustainability, which is really impressive. And I think this is what guided her, I assume, to become the co-founder and CEO of Pacifico Digital Exploration. And she's here today to share her talk on low code for developers, creating scalable UIs for your CLI tools. And that is everything that I have to say. Michelle, I would hand the stage over to you and stop my screen sharing, and then you can start.
Yeah, thank you, Ariane. I'm glad to be here today. So let me share my screen. Yeah, here we go. And now you're seeing me in my screen as well. So that's why my webcam is off. Okay, perfect. Done. Right away, I have to admit we are a little bit over the 20 minutes, more like 35. I mean, what can I say? You gotta use the screen time, right? But trust me, time will fly by. So I think everything had been said about me, so let's just dive right in. So if you're a developer, chances are you saw the title and thought, yuck, why should I use low code? Like, I'm a software developer. I can write real code and I can code whatever I want. Why should I use low code? Isn't this just like some dumb UI stuff? And yes, I totally get it. Most people think of low code like no code, so it's basically the same, just some colored UI boxes you can click on connect. Personally, me as a dev, I wouldn't want to use this as well. And let me clarify this is not what I meant when I thought, oh, low code is a cool name for our tool. I just realized this later on. So this is bad. Let's get rid of this word, and actually I should never use it again. Because for us, it's not about replacing or degrading developers. It's about removing the boring stuff so we can focus on the good parts. It's about getting faster to the part that actually matters. So that's why I will use the wording fast code. Hi, I'm Michelle, and I'm happy to introduce you to Raclette. because our goal at Pacifico is to ease developers' pain. So why do we even need fast code in the first place? Let's imagine you want to develop something, like you have an idea in your mind, and basically this is the purpose of existing of your project, all the features it needs. So, but what you might don't see, especially in web development, are all the hidden features. Like, oh, it runs online. Well, it needs authentication. Then it needs permissions and roles. Oh, and I also need a database. And how does the front end even communicate with the back end? And congratulations, your initial workload just increased, and potentially by a lot. So we at Pacifico have a lot of work experience in companies where we did custom development for a lot of clients. And we had to rebuild the same features over and over and over. And this, let me tell you, was very painful. So we decided to increase developer experience over this problem with Raclette. Because Raclette contains all those core features that you can then easily use with a simple interface. And then you can just write your business logic that perfectly attaches to Raclette. And thanks to this, you can also expand this. Like if you look at the left, I think it might be very hard to add something here without floating the whole circle. And here are a lot of places for your code to go. So now that we know about the problem, let's look at the solution. What actually is Raclette? So Raclette is a web-based full-stack development framework. It's of course open source and free to use for everyone, forever. The main part of Raclette is in its core. So this is completely written in TypeScript, and it can also handle your databases, like setting up the Docker services and connecting to the backend. Then it consists of the actual backend and partially the frontend. So why partially, you might ask? Well, we also don't want to reinvent the wheel. There are very nice front-end frameworks, so let's just use them. We just provide the connection between the Raclette core and the individual framework handling. And then you're good to go and could start coding. But if you don't want to think about like navbars and menus and modals, then you can also use one of our UI-ready themes. Imagine them like the glaze on the cake, like a thin layer at the top that is exchangeable. And there could be many, many themes made by the community. Every developer could influence this with its own style, or you could have one for your company. This is like themes for WordPress website. Without this, every website written with WordPress would look the same. And of course, we don't want this for Raclette apps. But also, you don't need to code everything on your own. So summarized, Raclette helps you developing web apps faster and with less of this feature boilerplate, because it makes more fun. So how can I now use Raclette, you might ask? So a smooth developer experience is always our goal. So you want to write an application with Raclette? Here we go. All your code, all your logic, and this is also the only relevant content of your repository, because Raclette itself comes as NPM packages. So in the world of web development, NPM and Yarn are our package managers, where developers can upload packages and you can easily download them like with one command. So this is the current state of the art. And then you can just easily start your development servers with one command. And then Raclette does its magic. So based on your configuration file, it considers all the things you need, all the services, and generates this .raclette folder where everything is located that you need for your development right now, including Docker files. And then your Raclette just starts exactly these, and you get only the services you need, and also the ones you want. And then you're ready to code. But you don't have to stop here. Besides the required packages, in your code, you can take advantage of two more main features. Plugins. You can think of plugins like the code you can write on your own. So everything you write could be a plugin, and a plugin could have also been written by you. And they are just like pre-written code that extend your app. Useful for like third-party providers or tooling that you always need within your company for all your projects. And of course, there are also Raclette original add-ons, like our CLI connector, but we will take a look at this later. And the second, way more powerful tool, but also more complex, are modules. They correlate more with like the NPM packages, and they can extend and alter the Raclette core and beyond. So they can create whole new services, like new Docker containers. And for example, we're also planning a really nice OpenSearch integration here. So stay tuned if you're interested in enterprise searches that are actually easy to use and not very, very complicated. And one last very cool feature that Raclette can provide you before we are actually looking at some code and demonstrations. So let's say this is now your app with everything you have written, you have downloaded, whatever. So then users can interact with it, typically in the browser. But thanks to JavaScript, this could also be like a smartphone app that you download from the App Store or a desktop application that you install. So we call this the app view, because obviously it's your app. Then you have your database and everything talks with each other. This is like the typical web app stack. Now imagine the following. The user, so maybe the client you built the app for, wants to change settings or UI. Then this can't just be in the code. So you are forced to like have a separate UI with forms and stuff. Then of course you need roles because not everyone should change settings, right? And suddenly you are way over time. So let us fix this pain for you with our Raclette admin dashboard. This is optional, but highly recommended. And it comes with its own backend, which makes it possible that it knows everything about your app, about modules you're using, about settings you want to expose to the dashboard, where other users could change these. And additionally, the front-end concept we apply is very specific, optimized for flexibility and modularity. We will see this soon, but this allows your users, your admin users, not only like to change settings you expose from here, but in theory, they could rearrange the whole layout of your app view. And then this all is just saved in your database. And you, with your app and your app logic, you can actually just focus on the business data. Again, the existence, the reason of existence of your app. This is what your app should be and not all the stuff around it. And now let's take a look at Raclette. So our development environment is this project here. This is not like a real project that will be online and sold one day. It's only a collection of code and POCs we are developing. Our tech stack consists of a Mongo database. We are using Vue in the front end and the currently one and only existing theme. Now let's have a look at the code. You can see this is like similar to what you just saw in the screenshot. This is our Raclette config file. And for example, I am defining here the Docker services I want to use and on which port they should run and some more settings. And this will all then be used for the .raclette folder, where it generates a lot of files, including TypeScript configurations, but also the Docker files. And here you can see, for example, the value we just entered will be baked in here, but you can always override your variables with your data with env variables, especially useful in production use. So in our dev setup, we don't have like loose code. The loose code is basically how you would just write a whole app. Currently, everything is clustered in plugins. So remember, plugins can be easily exchanged from one app to another if they're coded correctly, and a plugin could also just be your app. So we will have a look at Krake soon. Well, and since we are working full stack here, every plugin has a separation of concerns with front-end and back-end code. So you could also have like a Vue and a React front-end, but only one back-end within Raclette, for example. And in the front-end code, we have our widgets, which are just like Vue code. And widgets are the main ingredient of like the front-end code. So this is what makes the power of our UI. And you will see this soon. So let's not wait with this and actually switch to the browser. So here you can actually see my Docker services that are currently running. The admin dashboard already runs. And from my dev setup, the database as well. This is because they're sharing this, and Raclette won't stop these if this is open. But in my terminal, I can now just run yarn dev, and this will start the additional remaining unstarted services, like our front end and back end. Now it does its magic and is already starting the containers here. And now it attached to the logs of the front end and back end, and I will go to my browser and just reload. And here we are at the login page. So this login page is not coming from the actual app developer. So let's say I've written an application. No, I can indeed write this on my own, but in this case, this comes from the theme. So I don't have to worry about like, how will this look? How do I do this? It's just there and I can use it. The actual authentication process and the user handling, this is what comes from the Raclette core. So also nothing I had written on my own. And then I can just log in. And we are here at like the theme. The theme has a dark mode and a light mode. The top bar, the left bar, like this user menu. This all comes from the theme. This is not my individual business logic. On the place in the center, this is one of the slots the theme provides, where we then will render our business logic in forms of widgets. These slots could also be like a modal or a floating window, or you could always have a split screen if you want this. So this is absolutely flexible, and the theme is just there to like help you not writing UI again. So on the start page, we have like the simplest widget you can imagine. It's a headline. You might know this from content management systems, and while it does not fulfill any business use case, it's just easy to use, and of course an admin could just like add these. So now before we're looking at like some real cool widgets, Krake, let's just have a look what it actually is. And actually, one step before, I will show you the admin dashboard. So refresh. Oh, no, I'm already logged in. I don't want to be logged in now. Logout. Cool, logout is not working. Okay, I will ignore this. That's the admin dashboard, and currently it's really a work in progress, and I can't show you like cool settings features, but it already includes the required UI features, but we will take a look at this soon. So let's move on to Krake. Krake is one of the tools that gets developed within the ALASCA Association. And like all the other tools, it does not provide a UI. And this is totally fine, because having a UI is not its purpose of existing. You know, this is like making cool magic stuff with servers and on, but not having a UI. So Krake is actually an orchestration tool for distributed workloads on Kubernetes clusters. And if you didn't get the sentence, don't worry. It took me like half a year to understand what Krake actually does. And it doesn't matter for our presentation here. But Krake actually can manage a lot, like Kubernetes clusters, apps, and metrics for clusters, and more. And for our POC, where we wanted to prove that raclette is a suitable tool, like for creating a UI for this already existing application, we only took out a little slice of the cake, clusters, and not even the full functionality of clusters. So let's have a look at some architectural design here. I go back to raclette, and we also actually have a POC of a canvas application. You might know Miro boards. This is something like this. I will open it at full screen. And here it is, the architecture design. So Krake is a Python application that runs on a different server. We don't have directly access on it. It's not running here in our local services. And it exposes an API. And we are talking with this API. In raclette, we developed a Krake plugin that is basically the interface between the actual manual user input and Krake itself. Now, this is very important to mention here. Krake is exposing Kubernetes access secrets all the time when you communicate with it. When you register a cluster, you know about this. But if you're working with like more users, you might don't want to share secrets that could be leaked anywhere in the front end. So the main part of the back end here is transforming data to only send to the front end what I, as a front end user, really need. And same with my inputs. They will get enriched so that Krake gets all the data it needs, and then everything works. And because Krake is like out of the reach of raclette, and anyone could like change something via the command line, or it does some internal tooling, we are also regular polling for new data. So this means raclette asks Krake every 10 seconds currently, like, okay, give me your newest data, thank you. And then it checks with the cache, has anything been added or removed or updated? And this information will then be sent to all the users that are currently connected and are looking at any Krake widgets. So in your front end, you always have the latest state and are always up to date with your data. And now let's take a look at the actual widgets. Here's my Krake icon, and I'm at the page. So for Krake, we created 3 widgets. The first is like the cluster list. Then we have this cluster map, which is basically like the list, but in a map. And we also can add new clusters. This is not any real world example because you can only change a name and you definitely want to enter more. But for our POC, it's enough. Per default, a new cluster will be added to Dresden because this is where we are in. And now let's just test this. I'll name this ALASCA test. And now when I send this data to raclette, it will forward it to Krake. Krake can process it and answer. So you will see a little delay showing that actually something happens in the background. And there it is. The state is currently pending because Krake needs to access the cluster. And with the next poll where we ask for updates, we get the newest information, which is, okay, cool, it's successfully connected. We can, of course, also delete stuff and update, but this is everything we can do with the currently created front end. Like I said, it's only a POC, and it didn't take us long to code this, approximately 8 hours. And within these 8 hours and about 1,000 lines of code, you're not only getting these 3 widgets, but what Krake also gets is the whole authentication flow, like the admin dashboard where I then can manage my users, I can manage my permissions. It also handles a nice multi-user interaction with the server, so nothing can be overwritten. Everyone has the new state. You don't have to worry about things. And we're taking a look at the code. We, for example, also defined a schema. This is like, how does the response of Krake looks like when it comes? And it's huge and totally complicated, and I don't know what's exactly going on, but AI generated me this. And the cool thing here, for example, is we have this public cluster schema. So I stripped away everything that is sensitive or might not be needed in the front end. And then everything is handled and only this is sent to the front end. While in the back end, you still can build your full object. And taking a look at the front end, you can see that here are our 3 widgets, and they are registered within raclette here. And while we're talking about widgets, let's take a look at these actually. So in my admin dashboard, I have my Krake composition. This is basically the page we just saw. And here I can change the layout. So I don't have to be a developer to see all my available widgets and to be able to move them. Now I could also say, yeah, Krake, yeah, it's nice, but I always want to draw something when I work with Krake. So I can just like add my canvas and hit save, go back and refresh. And okay, no, I'm logged out. Nice that it worked. And here we are. There's my canvas widget right above my Krake widgets. And this all happened without a developer being involved, needed to like change code and the deployment, and you know, all the things that just happens if a client wants to change something. So a developer doesn't have to do work that is definitely under his pay grade. And I can almost imagine what some of you might think, because, okay, well, nice, but Krake has an API. What about real command line applications that you can only access via command line? Yeah, well, when we developed this POC, any command line support was not at all in our thoughts. And yes, you can use Krake command lines. They actually have the tool rock for this. And with like the cube cluster list, I would get the same list we just saw in our table. But at this time, there was no tech talk. There was no tech talk title, which mentioned something with CLI. But we thought, what could you be interested in? And yeah, CLI tools it are. So we spared no expenses or effort for this presentation. And if you remember our plugins, so yeah, we created a CLI connector. Well, let's say it started as really just a little connector where we can execute something in our container, and you have in the front end somewhere to click to start this process. As simple as possible. Yeah, but coding with raclette is so much fun that it didn't stay simple, and we created something really nice. So let's have a look at this, because we actually created a terminal emulator. So this runs currently on my backend Docker container. I can take a look at the files there, and I can even navigate and take a look at my plugins. And here are the plugins you just saw earlier in my IDE. So yeah, this is my backend. So now, because we are cool, we actually let the Krake plugin connect with the CLI connector, and it provided like a Krake command. So what this does is Krake actually maps in the backend to a config where we can SSH into the service itself, into the server, and execute commands. So right now it's actually directly mapped to the rock command, so I don't have to write this. And I can write the command from earlier. And now we will get the same list we just saw, but in the native Krake layout. Like if you work with Krake, this is the only thing you will ever see. Command line responses like this. And so it's absolutely no wonders that it took me quite long to understand what's happening. So UIs can also be very helpful to get more visualization. So let's expand this with a little thought experiment. Let's say you have several servers, all with their own purpose, their own tools running. You usually SSH into them, execute commands, and do your stuff. And while this is really nice for experienced users, why not lower the barrier so more people can actually enjoy cool open source toolings? So with a nice raclette app you have written, you could have your own terminal like you just saw, and then you have all the logic in your backend where you connect all your servers to it, and then execute any command anywhere how you want it and how you defined it. Like you could have the Krake UI, and it's limited as you saw. But some users might still benefit from the UI, while more power users could use the inbuilt terminal from wherever they want, or from their mobile phone if needed, to do experienced features. And could also have like maybe limited access based on knowledge level of people so that they can't do anything wild on your servers without actually having to manage real Unix users on every server. Or the UI is only for visualization and your terminals, like your main tooling. So I think the possibilities here are endless. These are just some things that came to my mind. But in case you're still unsure, let's have a closer look so that you actually know when it's raclette time. So as just said, you have a CLI tool and now you want to turn it like into a full web app, like with dashboard and authentication and roles. And the cool thing, your tool does not need to know about all those things. This all happens within your separate raclette application. Like you can keep your UI fully separated from the real purpose of your tool. Yeah, and why stop with one? You could have several tools, like from different teams or different vendors, and they don't know each other. They speak different languages, the tools, not the teams. And you can all glue them together within raclette. And not only are they all within one application, thanks to the plugin concept, they all could have their own standalone version as well. And if you don't have an idea, don't worry. If you don't have a tool, don't worry. An idea is enough. And you can just like create a fast POC of what's in your mind. And then why stop there? Use the modularity of raclette to build upon your POC to create a full app. Like if you have this really nice idea which could change the world and you want to offer this as a service application, then yeah, go for it. This is what we actually built raclette for. And even if you're a beginner in development or web development, raclette will help you to write cool software. It's faster to write and better to maintain. And raclette comes from Europe, Germany. So there's no Trump, there's no Musk. It's just digital serenity that comes from the hearts of the raclette devs. Because we say raclette is for all the small ideas that don't stay small. So personally, I would be hooked now. Like, give me the installation guide. No. Well, sorry to break you here. We are currently the pre-alpha stage. We are soon looking for developers who are interested to test raclette. You don't need to be a web developer. Everyone is welcomed, even if you have never developed. Let's see what we can create together. And you can directly influence the upcoming development process. And this is your chance of being part of something that will be huge. And then the official open source alpha version release is planned, with the goal to build the official community and to create apps with like real use cases. While we always want to keep versions as stable as possible, so that breaking changes are minimal. So with the goal that you don't have to worry about creating actually production-ready apps with it. But real production-ready apps, well, should hopefully be buildable at the beginning of next year. where we definitely want to like fix all the interfaces where an app talks with Raclette, so that you don't have to worry about updates, and every upcoming update will give you, as a developer, cool, more new features you don't have to code on your own. And then the bright future of Raclette takes full speed ahead. So we are fully self-funded and don't want to rely on external money. We want to keep our independency to ensure Raclette will stay what we intend for it, free and for everyone. But we still need money. So what do you do with an open source tool? Yeah, right, you offer it as a service. So for this, we're also planning to hang the barrier of the usage lower, so more people feel engaged to actually try the tool. And while once websites could only be coded from developers, WordPress came and changed the future. And with our planned dev dashboard, which allows code generation via UI and of course AI support, you will get the best for both worlds, because you can still use Raclette natively. We don't want anything like vendor logged in and strange data. We only want to support Raclette with UI code generation. And the structured frame of Raclette will also improve a problem that occurs with current AI development. While a lot of tools can write nice small apps very fast, I think maintainability and especially expandability are limited at some point, and some size. And remember, Raclette is for all the small ideas that don't stay small. So let's start thinking big for a better future. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. If you want to test Raclette in whatever stage, add me on LinkedIn, write me, or follow Pacifico, and you can also contact us via our website. We're just a couple of nerds with a great vision. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them. And also, I'm in front of the link. Yeah. Guess that's enough.
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle. Really great talk. That was a perfect 35 minutes, by the way. And yes, we are ready for a discussion round. So if there are questions, feel free to just express them. Or maybe I can start with a, sorry, non-technical question. But how did you come up with the name Raclette? That's what I was wondering when I heard about your talk.
Oh, we're actually brainstorming in the team and thought of, well, we were inspired with the ALASCA names, and we're like, okay, maybe something totally off. And then, yeah, raclette came, and basically it is a raclette. Like the cooking frame of the device is what our tool is, and within the little pans, you can then cook like your own software. So we say, what have software development and cooking evening with your friends together? Both are easier with raclette.
That is so cool. Thank you. Okay, other questions, please. Okay, I don't see any questions.
Maybe
Yes.
maybe beside from my side, Patrick Team from Cloud and Teat. So what about the other tools so we have seen Krake and stuff. What about the other tools in ALASCA? Could you imagine that this also could be easily integrated with Raclette, and dashboard or web UI could be brought up?
Also, I actually don't know about the real functionality of those apps, but in theory, absolutely yes. We would love to do this or to create a POC for this. if we get some functionality documentation and guidance from the experts here.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I guess no more question means I said everything and answered all your questions within this presentation. That's good. Otherwise, you have my contact data and you can always. Is this the right link? Oh, yeah. It's raclette.js. Also, there is nothing besides a README that says coming soon. But yeah, it already exists, the repository.
Hey, last chance if there are no questions otherwise. Yes, as you said, everyone can reach out to you afterwards if they come up with any questions or thoughts or ideas. Again, thank you so much. Really interesting. And I guess then we can move over to some events from our side. I will.
I don't know how to stop my presentation. Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, I got it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Where is my presentation? There it is. Okay, I think this should work now. All right. Yes. So some news and events from our side. Oh, I can start my camera again, I guess. Okay. Sorry. So we have a hackathon upcoming from ALASCA Focus. If you don't know what Focus is a funding project. ALASCA received funding last year for basically the further development of our open source projects, also in close collaboration with the sovereign cloud stack, and integrating the SCS standards. And also another part is improving the technical documentation of our projects, which I think, yes, also makes a lot of sense because it's a very crucial part of open source technologies. And so for that, we are doing our very first hackathon. It's in June on the 3rd and 4th near Stuttgart. We do not have the location finalized, so this will follow, I assume, next week. But you can already register and join us. So this is our invitation to you. If you want to join, please do register because it helps us with planning. The link is below on the slides, or maybe they're also coming to the chat. But you can also just look it up on our website. Everything is there. And then also we have the ALASCA Summit coming November 3rd and 4th, as announced last time. Again in Dresden, Deutsches Hygienemuseum, so same location as last year. With a strong focus on digital sovereignty from the technology perspective, but also from political sides, from looking at Europe's values in terms of digital sovereignty. So everything related to this. And we currently have our call for contributions open until May 30th. And yes, everyone is invited to submit their ideas either for a workshop or for a 15-minute presentation or a full 30-minute presentation. So we are really looking forward to your submissions. Yes, I see. I see the links coming. Thank you so much. Then we are moving on to local events in Dresden. So first of all, we have the Gaia X Roadshow starting in Dresden on May 22nd. So if you're in the area, you're welcome to join and visit. ALASCA will have a booth there and also a presentation by Marius, our chair. And then we also have the DDIX Open Tech Meetup on May 6th. 6 p.m. At the TUD, also with a presentation from Marius, and we are collaborating with them for our focus project. So that is also very cool. The links are here again. So yes, happy to have you join. And then I would hand this over to you. So Kurt or Felix, I'm not sure who is here. There's some things coming up from the Sovereign Cloud Stack corner.
Yes, thanks a lot, Ariane. So for the very spontaneous, there's the hackathon coming up next week in Erlangen. So Tuesday and Wednesday next week, we are meeting at the FAU in Erlangen. So if you want to join, feel free. All the infos are at the link that Ariane is sharing. And there's a couple of save the dates. The SCS Summit is going to be on the September 24th in Berlin, as well as the OSBA Connect, which is going to happen on the 13th of November. So stay tuned for more infos on that. But if you're into tech and SCS and interoperability, come to Erlangen next week.
Oops, thank you. Okay, and are there any other events from the community that anyone would like to share with us? Oh, I see a general question from Silvio. Are you considering switching to an open source conference tool for the Tech Talks? I definitely like that idea. I've had this in the back of my head too, and I will take your question as input to take this to the table, because this may probably be time right now. Thank you so much. Any other questions, remarks, events, anything you want to share?
Maybe one thing that's worth mentioning, Ariane, I think the CFP for the IT Tage happening in December in Frankfurt is still open for another couple of days. So the CFP is ending at the end of April. There's still time to submit anything. There will be a focus topic around digital sovereignty. So I think that's very relevant to the community that we have here.
Thank you so much. Yes, maybe if there is a link that anyone could throw into the chat, that would be cool. But yeah, thank you for sharing, of course. Otherwise, anything else? And by the way, you can also, everyone can always send us their events or news beforehand, so we can put them on the slides. That is no problem at all. Okay, thank you for the link, Kurt. All right. Then this is your call to participate in the Tech Talks if you want to. So I think you have a feeling now for the kind of topics that we're discussing here. Anything related to new ideas, new open source technologies, or technologies that are not fully open source yet, whatever related or to digital sovereignty, cloud infrastructures, all of those things, we are very happy to discuss here. We are still looking for speakers for the 3rd and 4th quarter of this year. So if you have an idea, just reach out to us. Doesn't have to be a fully planned out presentation or anything. Just contact us, and then we can see what we can do. Now, before you go, the next Tech Talk will be May 23rd. This is not the last Friday of the month this time, because the Thursday is a holiday in Germany. So we moved it to the week before. The topic is coming soon. What I know is that it will be Horizon and Uhuru-Tech, both are ALASCA members, who will be chatting with us. Oh yes, and I see another event in the chat. Thank you, Christian. Also in Dresden, we have an event called Steuerung souverän. That's a digital sovereignty event on Tuesday. You can still register for that. We will talk about all things digital sovereignty, DISCO also an Alaska member, will be giving a workshop. I will be there presenting Alaska, and then Cloud and Heat will also be there with another presentation. So yeah, the link is in the chat. Maybe take a look at that. And yeah, if there are no other remarks, I would end this talk. Thank you to everyone who was here. Thank you so much again, Michelle, for being our guest today and for your fantastic presentation. And with that, I wish everyone an amazing weekend, and we're happy to see you next time again.